Welcome everyone to the Bran'sTech podcast. We're excited to have you on today's 5th season episode. So for today, we are having another interview with an amazing guest who has taken their time here to speak with us. Without further ado, this episode will begin in just one moment after these sponsored messages, so please stay tuned. Have you ever thought about hosting your own podcast? Perhaps you already have one. Well, if you're looking for a podcast website, look no further than Podpage. A website design tool helped to create a better experience for your listeners. And in fact, my favorite part is that it allows for each guest to have their own dedicated landing page. That way, you can highlight each of your guests and their amazing accomplishments. I'm proud to have Podpage as the sponsor for the Bran'sTech Catch-Up series. If you're interested in going to Podpage, go ahead and go to podcast.bkhtech.net/podpage. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Hello everyone, this is Brandon K. Hedgepeth, and I am here today with another recording for my catch-up series, where I'm catching up with all my different podcast guests who have been on here, past and present. And today, I'm going to go ahead and start off by reintroducing today's guest. My guest here today, he is currently a media intern for the Elizabeth River Trail Foundation. He is also a student at Old Dominion University with a major in strategic communication and a minor in training and development. And he is currently their chapter's co-president of the Public Relations Student Society of America. Please welcome today's guest, Noah Ochsenreither. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on once again, Brandon.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm glad to have you on. And so, first of all, how are you doing? How are you enjoying summer 2022 by the time we're recording this?
Oh, boy, I can't wait for it to be over. I cannot wait for it to be over. Well, pretty much up until this point, since day one of January, we're pretty close to it. I mean, pretty much since school started this year. It's just been one thing after another. Every month has felt very long. A lot has gone on. We had a very busy spring with BRSSA and just everything that was going on between our successful trip we had and everything. And then I wasn't planning on taking summer classes this summer, but I had no choice, and I've been doing that. I've been working. I've been, and like you said, at my internship. And so it's been pretty crazy. I've been hoping for a break pretty soon, and it looks like that'll come up hopefully by next weekend. But it'll still be grinding and churning away at things until graduation this December. So a lot to look forward to, and still a lot to be done.
That is quite true, but at least, there's only a few months left until then, and even lesser time by the time this is released. So, I mean, at least you're almost there, just half a year left.
Exactly.
But before I go ahead and get further into this, I did want to go ahead and allow a moment for you to go ahead and reintroduce yourself to the watching or listening audience.
What's going on, viewers? This is yours truly, Noah Ochsenreither, here with Brandon. I'm here to, once again, catch up with Brandon, and have him let him reintroduce myself to the world once more, and then give you insight into our conversation today. And hopefully this will be an insightful one for you to listen to.
Well, that is great to hear. And so the last time that we spoke on here, the actual recording date was January 4th of 2021. So it's crazy to think that it's actually been over a year and a half since we've spoken on the platform. Of course, we've spoken offline, several times since then, including actually just a few days ago. But nevertheless, it's been good to go ahead and speak with you again. We don't get this time too often, and so I'm glad that we're able to converse again here. This is going to be a really great conversation.
Yes, I think so, the same.
Yeah, and so I think I'll actually first start off by asking, so you're currently about to start, well, you've recently started, but about to officially begin the term, so to speak, of your co-presidency for the ODU PRSSA. But are you able to let us know what is the PRSSA and how did you end up becoming a co-president? Was that a position you were seeking out?
So PRSSA is essentially the sister organization to PRSA, which is Public Relations Society of America. PRSSA is getting people into the professional circle of PR, whether you're in marketing and advertising, government affairs, public affairs, which could be government affairs. You might be working at a PR firm or agency, depending on what you're doing. Essentially, it is anybody who has to speak, has to communicate with words or visuals in any way to within your company or outside of your company, or both. It depends on what your role is, what the role of your company is, and just the function that your company provides. So that is the goal. The goal is to integrate people into the professional world, to acquaint them with resources and skills to equip themselves, and to make themselves look good. Essentially, whether that's a resume workshop, an interview, or internship connection, which could turn into a job, or a job connection or whatever. I have met more people this way, not only through PRSSA, but also just being in the program in general, because, I've been in this circle and fruit has come a long way. And, we'll see where that leads me beyond ODU, but hopefully good things to come. Certainly looking forward to it. As far as me being president, so kind of a story. So by the time we had our spring trip, our current president at the time, I think, I'm certain you'll interview Brittany, right? Because she's been on the podcast before.
That is correct. I had her on my other podcast, the Brand's Corner podcast. That's correct.
Okay. Yes. So I'm sure she'll talk again soon. But anyway, she was asking, or her primarily, since she was president, putting out the interest form for who wants to be on the e-board, and she's been the one constructing and putting that together, and the whole rest of the months that she was acting president. So anyway, she had talked with me a couple of different times. I'm trying to remember how it went. I initially didn't fill out the form because I was thinking, man, I'm not going to be really around in the fall. Maybe I'll be done before then. So what's the point of me doing it? And then I thought, I was like, well, okay, I will try, see what happens. This could be a good thing with all the time that I can spare for it anyway. So we'll go from there. And so I did. I filled out the form. Spoiler alert, she was looking for me to fill out the form. I found out later. And I've been regularly talking with Brittany up to this point about different things involving the club and just whatnot. And she was talking about how she's been shuffling around, what the whole e-board is going to look like for the next year. And she asked me what I thought about president. And I was like, yeah, someone else can be president. Someone else said the exact same thing. And then she came back to me and she was like, what if you were co-president with somebody? And I was like, okay, who would that be? And she said, our good friend Erin. And I said in response,
I found a few locations for Khabib near you. The first one is Steam Khabib at 484 Viking Drive, Virginia Beach. The second one is
oh no, memento. I don't know why this Google is picking up. Just roll with it. And hopefully I can shut up the Google when it goes to talk again. Anyway, so So yeah, she's bringing up about Aaron, and I was like, well, what does Aaron think? And she's like, she'd be down for it. And I was like, okay, great. And I would be down for it as well. And Brittany was finally relieved because I kept, in her words, I kept giving her a hard time about how I felt about doing it. And, here we are. So, lo and behold, looking forward to, not only working with her and you, of course, and everyone else on the e-board, and I look forward to the exciting things that we can do and bring.
That is great to hear, and I'm so glad. I mean, that all worked out for you, and so, who knew that all you had to do to get that type of position is just not seek it, and that's actually been something that, like, throughout my life, I've always say great opportunities come to you when you don't look for them. I don't know where they are when you do look for them, but great opportunities come when you don't seek them. Really, it's just they tend to just find you, and it's just always great when that happens. But yeah,
right. Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to things as well. It's an exciting time. I did PRSSA has been very fruitful in the sense of it's been the center point of the department, the communications department, and what the professors seek out to do for the students. I really feel like PRSSA is the child of the department, and just the ways and opportunities it can grow us as students. Really putting us into the field before we've graduated so that we can look good and do these things. We're not daddling our time. We're not, wasting our time with what we're doing. And so anything to continue that initiative with, building our name within the school and building our name outside of the school, just how PR works, will be a sure win in my book. That is my goal. It's like I want the club to be quintessential for many of the functions that Old Dominion puts on, and in a professional sense, work and organizing things and whatnot. That'll be my goal. If we can put steps to the stones of what that looks like and grow it where it can be, then that's a win in my book. I will be happy leaving PRSSA, leaving ODU in the hands of those who take that up and are able to do more.
Well, I'm so glad that you are getting ready for that time. Like we said before, you only have a few months until that graduation time, and so actually, before I go into this, I actually did want to hear about your internship. So how was your internship with the Elizabeth River Trail Foundation, and how did that come to be with you now as a media intern for this summer?
So it came about, our good professor, who has now retired from many years of her work, Miss Carol Branch, was sending me interview opportunities that she was getting from her contacts, the people that she's involved with and has been involved with in her career. And the ERT was like one of 6. It was actually one of the last ones that she had sent me while I was, trying to really work and apply myself to. One of them was, actually, maybe I shouldn't mention them just in case. And so, I've been trying to apply for these roles and make myself look good. I never heard anything back, unfortunately. And then one of the last emails I get from her was one from the ERT, or at least one of the outside contacts for the ERT who does writing for the foundation. And I emailed her directly. She connected me with the executive director, and here we are. So I started around the end of May. Goodness, May was just back and forth, just like trying to see who would take me on during the summer, and then they finally took me on, and I was very relieved. And so I came on board up to this point, so about 2 months into it now, and it is just kind of like as a day kind of needs. So half of what I do is social media. Social media is the one thing I didn't want to like learn how to do and like grow in, if you will. But like you were saying earlier about opportunities finding you that you weren't necessarily looking for. I think it also applies to things that you don't want to, at least for me, you don't want to do certain things because you don't want to invest the time into doing them. Yet in your situation, you have to do them because, in your place of work, in the place of whatever you're doing, you have to. And that's just kind of the thing when it comes to people in PR is that you can't just do one thing. You have to be able to do many things. And that's very true about me and my hobbies and my interests and the current skills that I have and continue to grow at this point. So, yeah, so 50% of it is me in social media. Some other bits is me doing some writing, working on my photography a little bit. It's something I want to grow in for the foreseeable future. It's a lot of administrative things going on right now, but I'm finally kind of like fell into the shell of it because my work life has never been, being in one place, sitting down, figuring out all these different administrative things. And now here I am in this role, finally into some non-cold feet, if you will, comfortable in these shoes. And yeah, it's been well worth it. It is just kind of me and the director right now. There was an assistant, but she left. She wasn't keen on the nonprofit world, which is what a lot of people say is, you get into the nonprofit world, it's tough. But that's okay. I mean, I've been in this setting before. It's nothing out of the ordinary for me. And, but yeah, I mean, happy to have that on my belt and say that I've done this and looking forward to, whatever's next.
I'm glad to hear that you're taking advantage of these opportunities, though. And even though you don't necessarily want to learn some of these skills, the ones that you have to learn, that you're taking advantage of it and willing to put in the effort to try to learn it and master it. And so, as of right now, how comfortable do you feel with like running social media pages and all of that now, the administrative side of it as well?
A little better. Just a lot of it had to do with I don't keep my social channels active, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to work on that in the future. With between photography and between another hobby I want to work on, but until that has some actual fruit to it, I won't share it with you just yet, as I want to be able to share it with people personally before I share it publicly. So it's just a matter of I telling you probably collectively in a given week, maybe I'll spend 20 minutes on like Instagram. I really don't spend that much time on anywhere else. I might look at some news articles that I might be interested in. I really don't spend a whole lot of time on my phone, which I'm very glad that I don't do. I think it was it was part of our previous talk that we covered, just learning to be more productive in those things. And I mean, it reigns true. So yeah, just my lack of experience is what is the hindrance there. And I think I'm working through it just fine.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, like I said, you're at least getting somewhere. And yes, that was the topic of our time last time. I believe the title actually was too much time on devices was the title of that podcast episode, if I remember correctly. And so that was definitely a major topic of that. And yeah, like for me, I run other people's social media pages for my own different jobs positions, the many ones I have, or help the people who do run them. But yeah, for myself, I don't do too much on my own personal for me, yeah, online platforms. And so that's something I'm working to shift in terms of the ones for my content creation, because obviously I do want to support all of the amazing people such as yourself who come onto my platforms, and I want to be able to promote that to the most extent possible. But at the same time, yeah, I also like keeping my private life somewhat private. And so it's an interesting balance as a content creator, but it's something where to me it seems like a worth it task, just especially for you all. Like, you all take so much time out of your schedule, and I know what you're thinking. It's like, isn't it just like a 1 to 2 hour like break in the schedule? But between all of the, the email communication and the, scheduling and all of that, it takes so much work and everything. And so I do want to make sure that, at least for my content, that I'm at least, fairly putting everything out, in a timely manner. But anyway, but I digress. But overall, I'm just glad to hear that you're really learning about that. And so now that you're heading towards graduation time, so do you feel a little bit more prepared in terms of being able to enter the strategic communications or whatever field you decide to go into in the future? And I do know, since you mentioned nonprofits, that I know that's also an interest of yourself as well.
I would be happy to go anywhere that comes my way. I'm not locked into a specific setting, whether that's nonprofits or a firm or just like a lot of what I'm looking towards is city government and being there. The common title they call it is like communication specialist kind of thing. So I'm not looking for big grand heights in your big cities and whatever. I'm just looking to be here out on Hampton Roads doing my thing. And yeah, and actually, as the days go on, I feel more and more comfortable with where I am and where my skills are growing. I still need to take some time in some many areas to equip myself more, because there's so many different things that have to do with like digital based understanding, whether that's websites, whether that's search engine optimization, whether that's working with graphic design and other media. There's so many different technical things I need to learn that I can say that I can do. That way I can be more successful. In fact, there's also like some writing I could brush myself up on. I've still yet to find like a PR book that has, templates for different writing situations, different writing documents, because I feel like that is pretty essential. There's a style book, anyone can go out and buy, whatever, what do you call it? I can't think of the word right now. Style of writing. So, you've got Chicago and you've got MLA and then PRs for AP. But like there's no template that I can find for all different writing examples. You have to individually look them up. Anyway, so there's still much for me to learn to do. In fact, I'm going to update you now on something that I've yet to tell many people publicly is the Web Center at ODU has a position for, what do they call it? Like a PR associate or something. And I had applied to that on Handshake, where I posted the listing. They called me yesterday. I tried calling them back and I left a message. I got, an email filling out a form. Hey, are you still interested? Can you be here at this time? Or what time can work for you? I'm like, yes and yes. And then they just emailed me again today, just like, hey, we're confirming we'll be, here for the interview and you can come by and meet us then. And I'm like, great. This is going to be awesome. So, yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to that if that pans out. It's an exciting time, and I'm very excited. And I hope that's not to my detriment, just how economy wise things are, but that's okay. It'll be what it'll be.
Well, I really hope that you're able to get that position. So best of luck in that interview. I'm sure it's going to go out well for you. But yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that things are truly lining up and are working well for you. And so, I guess before we close out this catch up interview, what else has been new with you over this past year and a half? And I don't even know where to begin really because yes, things change so quickly, like on a regular basis that even for myself, I couldn't even tell you what's happened with me over this time.
I can tell you. I can tell you one thing about me personally that I was just realizing today while I was out working, that has been true for me is that pretty much. So I've been in some other spaces where I've had a leadership role before. As some one or two I was willing to take up, kind of just because that's like what I was there for in that kind of like serving capacity. And others like I didn't want it, but they ended up being mine. In fact, that's like 3 out of the 4 scenarios. So, anyways, what I'm trying to say is I've realized that the things that I've avoided, like these, leading in these capacities. So I'll tell you some. So one has been doing um, AV leading at my church. I no longer lead that. I'm actually I teach the younger kids at my church when we have morning Sunday school. Um, but that is in a position now where it's much better with who's leading it, and I'm happy for it. I served at a summer camp for 7 summers, and I was leading the maintenance crew my last summer, and it was finally a position that looked really good. And then COVID happened, unfortunately, and changed many people's lives, everyone's lives. I was another co-president at a club in TCC, a Bible study club that I helped be a part of. I did a lot of the teaching there, and there was a fourth one I can't remember now. But all that to say is that in my case, in these areas, it's often been the thing that I've ignored. Maybe it's not this. Maybe it's people. Um, the people I've ignored, or maybe I had like a different assumption about them, presumption about them, whatever. And I was terribly wrong. And it was for me. It was for my good that I was involved in the scenario or involved in getting to know such and such person. Um, and it's often the things that we're shooting for differently that we don't realize that is actually good for us now is the thing that we're often trying to avoid. And so I would just say, big thing that I'm learning through all this is don't ignore the things that are going to grow you or going to help you, and take them on with the stride and take them on courageously, even if you're afraid to tackle them. Take them on anyway and see what happens. You will probably be wrong, or you might be right in how you assume them. But either way, you're going to learn so much more about you and your maturity and your growth and where that's going to lead you.
And yeah, and I think a part of it too is if we go into opportunities with the mindset of I'm going to absolutely hate this, I'm not going to like it, I just want to count down the days until it's over, then that's probably how your experience is going to be. And in some cases it's like, oh, okay, this is a lot different than I thought, but usually you set your own mindset for how you want things to be. And so yeah, I completely understand that. And yeah, it's like even for myself, it's like trying to remain open to different opportunities, even the ones that I'm not fully aware of. It's just taking a chance. I mean, bad kind of worse. If you don't like it, you can always just not be a part of it anymore. If that, in most cases, that's possible. But but it truly is just taking that chance, using your best judgment, and going from there. See where it takes you, and you never know where you can apply these skill sets elsewhere.
Exactly, which is exactly the kind of thing that us as PR people do. Is that you, or in the job setting in general, or in the vocation sense in general, is that everything is transferable. Everything that you do is transferable. So even if that's just, you're all just doing technical things, like for you, Brendan, you've been in video and audio for as long as you can remember, right? Yes, there's different ways that can be transferred from other technology, and you figuring that out. But I mean, there's also like other things that go into it that you don't necessarily think about. Oh, I learned these things in this way, but they also apply here as well. For me, it's the same thing. It's like I've learned to work with my hands in many ways. A lot of times cleaning and making sure things look good. But either way, I've worked with my hands to know how things can best be done. And I'm walking into the PR world again in the same sense of getting my hands calloused, if you will, with different things that'll equip me, and to say that I can do, and to say that I can perform this function for said company. And they can look at me and they can hire me or they can don't hire me, whatever they want to do. But at least this way, I'm making myself look more attractive, and I'm realizing, oh, the door doesn't have to be just one for me and one for someone else. The doors can be whatever. It's just, are you willing to take that up?
Quite true. Well, Noah, this has been an absolute pleasure and honor to be able to speak with you again. And I know we'll continue, speaking offline after this, as I do with all of my catch-up interviews. But overall, thank you so much for willing to come back here for the platform and to speak with the audience again. I know I've heard so much positive feedback from the previous time that we spoke. So definitely keep in touch, and you're always, of course, welcome back here on my platforms. And so, yeah, like I said, thank you so much.
I'm grateful to have this time and opportunity with you, Brandon, and be able to walk through the same journeys with you.
Of course, absolutely. And before I go ahead and let you go, though, I did want to go ahead and allow time first. If there's anywhere online that the listening or viewing audience can follow you, I did at least want to provide you that opportunity. If not, that's quite all right as well. I at least did want to provide that for you.
I mean, I guess there's not really anything that's appealing for people to follow me by, and I know that's not a selling point for me to say. But if anything, I would just say follow the ODU's BRSSA channel. I'll just visually show that to everyone. Actually, I can at least show you the account. I'm not signed into the account at this moment, since someone else is leading social media as soon as what should we call it? There. So not ODU PRSSA, it's PRSSA _ ODU. So I would suggest, if you're interested, and you're at school with us at ODU, go give us a follow. We're going to be more active over there, and hopefully some exciting opportunities upcoming. And we're looking forward to meeting you if you come out and see us. So yeah, that's my plug.
Well, awesome. That sounds great. And the last thing I'll say is, are you able to close us out with a piece of advice for those listening?
Don't ignore what's in front of you. That's the sum of today. Don't ignore what's in front of you.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much, Noah. And like I said, definitely keep in touch, and I can't wait to have you on again.
Absolutely, Brandon.
You as well. For those of you watching or listening, thank you all so much for tuning in to another amazing catch-up interview, and I will catch you all later. No pun intended. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.